Hello everyone, this is step 1 of the new setup process. So as you can see, we got every single component except the GPU, but that will arrive on like 2 days later. So as of now, all I have to do is disassemble my current setup and start assembling the new one. So I will time-lapse that one. Alright, so we just finished clearing off everything from my desk, including the desktop, the microphone, keyboard, mouse, speakers, and both the monitors. So now we will actually start building the system. Yay! Okay, so now that we're starting our build, the first thing we want to do is open our power supply. This is because we want to be grounded, so in case we touch any static electricity, this here static electric wrist strap thing above will just go straight to the power supply. So we won't need to worry there. Here we got some stuff. Comes in nice packaging by SeaSonic, so very nice. Okay, and here we got it, the power supply. So, what we want to do, leave all that over there for now. We want to ground ourselves, so put on this wrist strap, clamp it to the fan grill of the power supply. Okay, so now we're good. Let's put this somewhere safe and we can continue working. Okay. So, now that we have everything, we'll start work on the motherboard. Here we got the motherboard. What we want to do...
Dang.
Recording. Let's grab this little box containing the motherboard. And that's nothing. Got manuals. More manuals. There we go. So, this is our motherboard. Now we have to unbox it. Motherboard. Okay. So, we want to start building our motherboard components: CPU, M.2, and our RAM. So, we can start by installing our M.2. So, what we want to do is take our screwdriver, attach our bit, we remove this here. Okay. Now that we got our bit in, we can start removing this. Once this comes out, it should come out magnetically. Or just not come out at all. Same thing. Okay, now that we have our M.2 thing off, we can put the M.2 in. So let me take that out. So here we have our M.2. All we want to do is just plug that in. Make sure it clicks. There we go. Then, this is going up and down, so gotta screw it back. But first, we need to take off the heatsink for our M.2. So let me do that. Okay, so now that the heatsink is off, you can just plug it back in. Okay, so now we have our M.2 set up. Good. Inside the M.2 package, don't really have that much stuff either, but it's worth checking out. More manuals. So, the next procedure we want to do is install our CPU. So, here we got our Ryzen 7 7700X, which is an AM5 CPU. So, just want to open it and install it. We got our package with the CPU and a sticker. Yay! So, let us open it. That could have ended badly. Here we go. CPU. So put that to the side. Then, now what we want to do is open our bracket. Note that our corner is right there. So, we need to line it up with the corner up there. Can't see it? That one. Pretty simple. So, we got our CPU in. See the matching corners. Now, all we gotta do is close it. Bam. Got our CPU attached to our motherboard. Yeah. Okay. So, now that we have our CPU and our M.2 installed, we now have to install our RAM. So, according to our manual, if we want 2 RAM sticks, we gotta plug them into A2 and B2. Where we can find A2 and B2 is from this diagram in the front. As you can see, A2 and B2 are the 2nd and 4th slots from the CPU. So, that means it's this slot and this slot. Let's go ahead and open those. And it's as simple as is. We just gotta line up the slot on our motherboard to the RAM and just plug it in. So line up, click, click, perfect. So now we just do the same thing for this. Oh. So line up the slot. Oh. Line up the slot and push it in. Bam, bam. Okay, so now we got our CPU, our RAM, and our M.2 seated to the motherboard. Now we're ready to start working in the case. Okay, so now what we have to do is start mounting our power supply in the case. So let me just quickly remove everything. Okay, so our case has all the glass off, all over there. Now, what we gotta do, mount our power supply there. So, there's also a few other things I need to do, which is remove this bracket and remove this front panel, because we're gonna be putting 3 fans right there. So, goodbye. Okay, so, just install our power supply with all 4 screws on the back. Bam, 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 bam. Now, we're using this. So, I'll be back again. Okay, so now that I've disattached both the covering thing and the fan bracket, I am now going to attach my fans to the actual bracket. Here are the screws, of course. So, check back again. Okay, so just finished putting these CPU fans in. So now, I also took out this little bracket right here. So the one thing you just gotta make sure is when you're putting the wires, make sure you bring them through this hole on the side. And then, obviously for these two, they go through the same hole, because there's only one hole down there. And about intake / exhaust, these two are purely for display. So I'll have them spinning at low frequency or RPM, and this one's gonna be an intake fan. Yeah, so now we'll be putting our motherboard in the case. But first, we gotta install all the standoffs. So, when installing motherboard standoffs, you want to look at the motherboard manual and just see where the standoffs lay. So, there should be 3 at top. Check in the motherboard or case. 1, 2, 3. 3 at top. 1, 2, 3. The top middle. 1, 2, 3. Check. 1 right below that one. Oh, nothing there. So, what we want to do, take a standoff, screw it in. Simple as that. Okay, so now that's in. We gotta check the bottom. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. So now we should be ready to put our motherboard in. Okay, so we have our motherboard in the case. One thing to note, make sure when you're putting the motherboard on the standoff, this one center thing, it's a peg, and it doesn't have any screw-ons, so just be wary of that. Don't stress if like you don't have a nut or anything, like that's meant to have nothing on it. But also, yeah, IO shield is in, good. And now the next thing I need to do is start start wiring, and then put my case fan. And then after that, I can start plugging stuff, and then put in my AIO. So good progress. Okay, so we're mounting our AIO. As you can see, I already attached the case fan and all the AIO fans. So now we'll be applying the AIO. Let me actually tip this out.
Is all in bed now?
Recording.
What?
Recording. Okay.
There was 2 videos.
How long is she gonna need to do this?
Okay. Apply our thermal paste. Okay. Now, for the fun part, our AIO. Okay, so now all we have to do is screw it on. You just want to be sure to not, or do it evenly so we don't thermal throttle. So, 2 screws. 3 screws. And 4th screw. So make sure all the tensions are matching. Bam. Our AIO. So, day 2. We're working back on the back of our case, and we're about to install this controller hub. But what I've just gone and done right now is install our hard drive. I didn't plug into our motherboard yet because eventually we're gonna need to install the operating system. So, yeah, just keep that unplugged for now. If you have 2 storage devices, but yeah, I'll check back in after I plug all this in to this. Goodbye. Okay, so we just plugged in all of our fans into the hubs. So that's cool. Now I'll start working on plugging in all the power supply cords. Hope I have to take this out, but it shouldn't be a problem. Take 2. Okay, so we got a couple big deliveries. We got our USB header splitter because we do not have enough USB headers on this motherboard. And we got our GPU. Cool. I didn't record this part, but while I wasn't recording, I plugged in a bunch of some power cables all the way up here, here, and I brought out the PCI cable down here. So once we finish plugging in all the USB headers, we'll start testing the GPU and then we'll post it. Yeah. Okay, so I just double checked all the headers, and now we have both of the fan headers on the back plugged into the USB splitter. This. Now we got all the front panel connectors, including the USB 3.1, this, the USB 3.0, this, the HD audio, this, and then all the front panel connectors, which should only be 3 total, which we got right there, 3. So now it's GPU time. Okay, so now we got our GPU in, plugged in, and locked in. Well, eventually I'll put our GPU stand, as this one does not quite fit. unfortunately. So yeah, eventually, in a few seconds actually, we're gonna post it. Okay, we're just about ready to start posting. So what I've done is plug this into my outlet on the back of this desk, and I've already checked that everything is plugged in, including hard drive cables, front panel connectors, power supply connectors, headers, USBs, all that. So everything should be plugged in, and make sure that your power supply is flicked to I. I means on. Okay? So, we're already seeing life. So that's good. First post, let's go. Everything works. GPU, fans. It's all working. Let's go. We do got some things though. Okay, so we're right about to test our display for our new computer. And we have our installation media and our motherboard BIOS on here. So, let's try that. Boot. Fan spinning. Everything's working. Display. Oh wait, I'm stupid. Okay, try again. Okay. Got display. Something's not quite right though. What was that? Okay. Looks like we don't have display. Oh. Oh, no, we just saw something. I think the RAM is training right now. That's why it isn't working. I'll cut back in a second. Ah, here we go. No, it works. First try. Let's go. Okay, so the next step in our process is to check if all our components are showing up and how they're running. So right here I have our CPU temperature, and as you see right here, it's 34 degrees Celsius. Pretty good. And then don't worry about the Fahrenheit temperature, because that's just like completely different. But then we also gotta check, we have our, whatchamacallit, then we have our RAM. Our speed isn't as advertised here, but we'll change that later after we do our BIOS tweaking. But yeah, it looks like everything's here and checking. Another thing we check is that our M.2 is attached, and it says right here 2 terabytes, 2000 gigabytes. And you notice that I didn't plug in the hard drive yet, as shown by this dangly cable. But this is because for the installation of the operating system, we don't want to confuse our hard drive for our M.2. So after we install our operating system and we get to the actual like home screen for our computer, that's when I attach this hard drive. But then yeah, looks like we're good. Okay, so now we are installing our BIOS updates. So during this process, the computer may look like it's like dying and stuff, but it's chilling. That's what it does. So if your like computer goes wacky or the monitor goes wacky, just like leave it be. Don't touch it. So after downloading our BIOS update, I now installed our OS installer, and now we have our screen. So we just want to make sure everything is right. Blah blah blah. And then we're good. So we've just gone ahead and installed our Windows. So from this flash drive, we got our operating system. So after a bit, I'll cut back again, and we'll be on the main screen. Okay, so we're on our operating system now. From here, all we have to do is install our drivers, and then after that, we can mess around with it. And yeah,